City this afternoon. They're trying to understand why Ottawa suddenly requires all Mexicans to have a visa to enter Canada. Ottawa imposed the same restriction on residents of the Czech Republic. Officials say the change is a response to too many people from both countries making false refugee claims. More Mexicans apply for refugee status here than any other country. 3,600 applied in just the first 3 months of this year. Jill Croteau is working the story locally, and Jill, confusion reigns supreme for many Calgarians with family and friends in Mexico.
You said it, Gord. A lot of people who have flights booked are now in a mad scramble to either get that visa or change their flight plans. The Canadian Embassy is suggesting they can offer same-day service for the next week for Mexican residents, but that's only if those planning to come here can make it to those offices in Mexico City on time. At least one airline is offering to help, but a lot of people here are caught in the middle of this political storm through no fault of their own.
Clean up.
After spending weeks getting their home ready to host 5 extended family members from Mexico, they're suddenly stripping the beds. They won't be needed after an abrupt decision by the Canadian government.
They have the plane ticket for this Sunday, so they say they will not make it. They say we'll have to cancel.
Javier's parents, his sister and her 2 daughters, had booked flights to celebrate his daughter Chloe's 3rd birthday. The family hasn't seen her in a couple of years. The shocking change of plans is upsetting, to say the least.
Sad.
Why, do you miss them?
Well, it's just very embarrassing as a Canadian to have to turn around and tell my in-laws in Mexico that they can't come at the last minute like this after they've paid for their flights.
The new immigration policy is supposed to shut the door on bogus refugees, but the travel industry, already struggling through a rough season, says it couldn't have come at a worse time.
There was no warning at all. Many of us have been very active in the Mexican market for many, many years, and all of a sudden, basically the day the doors are about to open on the beginning of the peak season, they're sort of being slammed shut in our face a little bit.
I don't want to speculate on how it's going to affect us, but it would be foolish to say it wouldn't.
Those impacted are pleading with the government for an extension, but the minister doesn't appear to be budging.
We can't have a 2-tier system, one for the hundreds of thousands of people legally waiting to come to Canada very patiently, and the other for queue jumpers who come here, make asylum claims so they can get either a work permit or welfare benefits or both. This is costing Canadian taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. It's a violation of our immigration laws, and it's abuse of our generosity, and so we had to take this difficult measure.
Difficult for them? Families now forced to postpone their family reunions say they're the ones left disappointed.
Now, Jill, we understand WestJet is stepping in to try and help out.
That's right, Gord. WestJet is waiving any cancellation fees so Mexican travelers coming to Canada can rebook their flights. Passengers currently booked on the airline have between now and mid-August to change or cancel their flights, giving them some time to secure those visitor visas. As it stands now, the Canadian government says there is a 48-hour grace period, but many travelers admit they won't be able to get that visa stamp in time if they have flight plans later in the week.
Although we weren't sure whether it was 220 or 200 guests affected by this, we realized that the guests had nothing to do with this. They were the victim of a change in government policy. And so, through no fault of their own, I'm sure that they're concerned about whether or not they're going to be able to fly their original flights.
And even if travel is rebooked at a higher rate, WestJet will honor the original purchase fare.
All right, thanks, Jill.
You're welcome.
Again, that visa requirement kicked in last night, but as Jill mentioned, there is a grace period until tomorrow at midnight for Mexican and Czech visitors.